In this video, we will start to set up the sheet. So I'm still in layout one. I should see a landscape orientated sheet of paper. The title block we're going to make for this class is actually going to be a portrait orientation. Right now, my current layer is G sheet, and that's what it should be in order for me to make this on the correct layer. Right now, I'm using my roller on my mouse to zoom out. Okay. Now, if you don't have those functions, you can go to zoom on the command line, and you can explore what these different types of zooms do. For example, if I wanted to use zoom window, I could, zoom into that. So it should be slightly off center because I made that rectangle a little bit off center. I could enter again and do zoom extents, which is basically going to zoom to whatever object I have drawn on here. So basically it went to the viewport. I can do zoom again, and I can give it a percentage. I can put 0.5 times, which is basically half the size. Okay, so there's a number of different ways that you can kind of move around. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my sheet. Now, one thing that you may want to consider when you're setting up new drawings, when you're working, whether it's in Paperspace or whether in Model Space, and again, I'll say Paperspace, even though the tab is referred to as a layout view. Same thing, layout and Paperspace, same thing. We want to be conscientious about the location of where coordinate point 0, 0 is. So remember, X is the first 0, Y is the second one. It's a good reference to have in a file. If I'm doing a building plan, sometimes I will want to pick something that is at that very specific point, and it's always a kind of a reference point that can be going back to. All right, so again, my layer is is G sheet, and as I said, I'm getting ready to draw the sheet. The easiest way to do that would be to use this rectangle tool. Right, what it's going to ask for is the first point, and I'm going to put 0 and then comma and 0 and then enter. Right, so you can see it's already established one of the corners of my rectangle. Okay, it's in the lower left there, and I can use these coordinates as a reference point for the construction of this sheet. Now, this is just going to be a simple letter size sheet, which is 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches high. So when it asks me for the other corner point, I can input those in the same way, the X and the Y. My X will be 8.5, comma, and my Y is going to be 11. Okay, so it's gone slightly off the page. I'm going to zoom out. I'm using my roller, holding it down to pan so I can see the whole thing. I can use the roller to zoom in and out. Okay, so there I have coordinate point 0, 0 in the lower left, and coordinate point 8.5, 11. I can check it by going ID, enter, and click on that point, and it should tell me down here, X is 8.5, Y is 11. So using that same idea about how to identify a point, I can hit ID. I could choose this point right here, and it should be X is 0, Y is 11, and that's what we see down here at the bottom. Okay, so that's going to be my sheet, and don't worry about this white area being kind of off. We'll make that correction shortly.